Can you do this? As early as your 40s, you may lose muscle and strength. Protein supports muscle health. Ensure Max Protein has 30 grams of high-quality protein to feed your muscles up to 7 hours. So take the challenge. Ensure.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News for Tuesday, May 12. I am Carrie Simpson. A special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. Here's what we have in the bulletin. PNP backs Spark but demands accountability. Trinidad rude boy marketers distance themselves from Billboard controversy. And later in sports, the inaugural Challenge Cup kicks off this afternoon with 4 games. Thank you for joining us. Now the details. Up first this afternoon, the People's National Party has sought to make it clear that it has no intention of undermining the Spark program. However, it is demanding accountability. Under the Spark program, each constituency is allowed to choose 10 roads to be repaired. At a press conference this morning, Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Central Dwayne Vaz accused the member with responsibility for roads, Robert Morgan, of changing the narrative as he goes along. He also pointed to the inconsistencies and poor communication with contractors. For her part, Member of Parliament for Western Hanover Heather Miller Bennett lamented the numerous breakaways causing injuries while rehabilitation moves at a delayed and slow pace. She also described the communication between the relevant agencies as well as contractors as rigid. And Member of Parliament for St. Mary's Central Omar Newell agreed and blasted the Works Minister for what he described as killing communities with bad roads. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, is warning that growing distrust in institutions, political polarization and organized crime are placing increasing pressure on democracies across Latin America and the Caribbean.
In a new regional report launched in Uruguay on Monday, the UNDP says while the region remains the most democratic in the developing world, many governments are struggling to effectively represent citizens and deliver meaningful development outcomes. The report notes that more than 4 out of 5 people in the region live under democratically elected governments. However, persistent inequality, weak political parties, disinformation, and rising insecurity continue to threaten democratic stability. The UNDP says democracy must now go beyond elections and focus on improving people's well-being, rebuilding trust, and strengthening state institutions. Among the recommendations are stronger political representation, greater protection of electoral integrity, improved state presence in vulnerable communities, and tighter safeguards against the concentration of power. The agency says the future of the region will depend on its ability to turn democratic pressures into opportunities for renewal, resilience, and sustainable development. Janella Precious, TVJ News.
The Trinidad Guardian is reporting that the marketing team for Rude Boy in that country is distancing themselves from the controversial Billboard in Jamaica. The paper quotes an official from AS Bridens, which is responsible for the distribution and marketing of the brand in Trinidad and Tobago, as saying that the sign did not come from their marketing team, nor did they have any involvement in the campaign in Jamaica. It says Rude Boy, a vodka-based drink, or rather vodka-based ready-to-drink brand, is headquartered in Barbados, and that the brand has been known for its hashtag Drink Rude slogan and advertising campaigns across the region. The billboards in Jamaica have since been removed after public outrage. Now, it featured the drink between the legs of a woman in net stockings. In a statement yesterday, the promoters said no offense was intended. Regional Operational Manager for WPM Waste Management, Jermaine Jones, says despite best efforts, illegal dumping remains a significant issue across the island. While there have been improvements in some areas, others are still facing a backlog in waste collection and cleanup.
The illegal dump sites, they're very hectic and problematic in terms of collection. What happens? A truck going to an illegal dump site will take an hour and a half to 2 hours. We have examples in Mount Salem and some places within the city, right? What we do, we try to ensure that we maintain these dump sites, some of these dump sites on the day shift and on the night shift, right? That is one measure. We also ensure that we do enforcement stakeouts. So persons have been prosecuted as it relates to some of these areas.
The authorities are warning that prosecution remains an option if illegal dump sites continue to get out of control. The NSWMA and WPM are pushing stronger messaging around proper disposal practices and the importance of recycling as they work to reduce the growing mess caused by illegal dumping.
That we push the messaging of reuse, reduce, and recycle. We know we're pushing the recycling aspect, but the reduction and the reuse will be the citizens' part in terms of partnering with us to ensure that we can rid the place of illegal dumping. We also encourage persons as well, wherever you see actions happening. So, for example, I know sometimes you'll be passing on here, you see a truck, just casually dumping off old building materials or garbage. Please report it if you can.
Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Western, James Robertson, announced plans to build 5,000 housing units in the parish in the near future. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Roselle Estate development recently, he noted that discussions have been ongoing with several key stakeholders, including the National Housing Trust and the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation.
161 years ago, 400 lives were lost in that rebellion. That's what the records say, and I checked the facts. 300 individuals were arrested, and yes, Paul Bogle was hung at the end. 1,000 homes is the estimate of what was destroyed. Today, I believe we are reversing our future. We are setting a new position for St. Thomas. And along with our urban center, the fastest and best untold road in Jamaica, I can only say that what has been achieved here in St. Thomas makes us all proud.
Member of Parliament.
As early as your 40s, you may lose muscle and strength. Protein supports muscle health. Ensure Max Protein has 30 grams of high-quality protein to feed your muscles up to 7 hours. So take the challenge. Ensure.